Tracking the week, on Monday, the screening of ministerial nominee Festus Keyamo threw the Nigerian Senate's plenary into a rowdy session. The lawmakers could not reach a middle ground on whether to go ahead with Keyamo's screening or not. This is as a result of a point of order raised by the senator representing Abia Central, Darlington Uwokocha, stressing why the nominee screening should not take place. Correspondent Kunle Oju reported that, citing Section 88B of the 1999 Constitution as amended, Nwokocha mentioned that Keyamo had in the last administration refused to appear before the Senate to explain how the 52 billion naira appropriated for Nigerians was spent. He reminded his colleagues that Keyamo refused to answer the formula used in sharing the money at 20,000 naira each for beneficiaries. An agitated Nwokocha accused Keyamo of disrespecting the 9th National Assembly and of accusing the Assembly of being corrupt. Senate President Godswill Akpabio thereafter subjected the motion to a voice vote, but the lawmakers were divided on the matter. Though a motion was moved and seconded, the senators could not reach a conclusion, forcing the Senate's President Akpabio to ask that they go into a closed-door session for further deliberations. Keyamo was a former Minister of State for Labor and Productivity under the then administration of ex-President Muhammadu Buhari. He, however, apologized to the Senate and was eventually screened. Still on Monday, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje, expressed his readiness to receive the presidential candidate of the new Nigerian People's Party, Senator Rabiu Kwakwanso, if he agreed to defect to the ruling party. Ganduje made the statement at a media briefing with some selected media organizations in Kano. This was shortly before he received a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party and former secretary to the government of the Federation, Ayim Pius Ayim, at his residence in Abuja. Ganduje said, "Nobody will say Kwakwanso is not a good politician. At least he was a two-term Kano governor, although in disrupted tenures he was Minister of Defense, even though he didn't know what defense was, and was once a senator, even though he never said anything throughout his stay there." When quizzed on why Kwakwanso was shut out from President Bola Tinubu's list of ministerial nominees, Ganduje disclosed that the NNPP candidate was never given such promise in the first place. The APC chairman's first official media parley came 4 days after his appointment as national chairman of the party at the Thursday's meeting of the National Executive Committee held at Transcorp Hilton in Abuja. On Tuesday, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu said every decision taken on the coup d'etat in Niger is strictly the position of members of the Authority of Heads of State of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and not his personal or Nigeria's position. The Nigerian leader, who is also the chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State, added that the 7-day ultimatum was regional and not a national position. Special advisor to the president, media and publicity Ajurin Galale made the disclosure during an interaction with State House correspondents ahead of Thursday's ECOWAS Heads of State's extraordinary summit on the political situation in the Republic of Niger. President Tinubu emphasized that the response of ECOWAS to the military coup in Niger has been and will remain devoid of ethnic and religious sentiment or considerations. Recall that the 7-day deadline for the coup leaders to step down and restore Bazoum to power expired last Sunday. Still on Tuesday, the Senate President Godswill Akpabio pleaded with the organized labor and other Nigerians to show more understanding and give the Tinubu-led administration more time to fix Nigeria. Akpabio made the appeal during a meeting with the leadership of the Senate and the organized labor at the National Assembly complex in Abuja on Tuesday. Correspondent Kunle in Abuja. Correspondent Kule Ojo reported that the Senate President, while commending the Labour leaders for the resilience, disclosed that President Tinubu inherited a country with a lot of challenges, adding that the current challenges remain a pointer to the fact that Nigeria is going through transformation. Akpabio maintained that the era of subsidy has gone and is gone forever, and noted that the position of the organized labor on the matter is commendable. Earlier in their separate remarks, the President, Nigeria Labour Congress Joe Ajero, and his counterparts with the Trade Union Congress Festus Osifo accused the federal government of not being sincere with the labor, noting that the government on 2 occasions increased the pump price of petrol while negotiation was ongoing. While highlighting the plight of the masses, the labor leaders said the working class and other Nigerians have been impoverished and that the Tinubu-led administration failed to look before it leaped, especially regarding the removal of fuel subsidy. They, however, enjoined the government to seriously consider fixing the moribund refineries in the country and ensure that they are in good condition. On Wednesday, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors (NARD) restated its position as it insisted that the federal government was yet to accept its demands. The association had earlier scheduled to commence nationwide protest on Wednesday, August 9. However, after a meeting between the federal government representatives and the resident doctors, NARD President Emeka Orji said the protest had been suspended and action would be taken in the following 72 hours. Meanwhile, the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital LASUD ARD President Dr. Habib Salman, while speaking to Galaxy's Michael Inyang on the review of the industrial action declared on July 26, dismissed the threat issued by the federal government. Newsmen recall that the federal government had directed the chief medical directors and medical directors in the federal tertiary hospitals to implement the no work, no pay policy on the striking members, while also directing the hospitals to maintain an attendance register for all resident doctors willing to work. Dr. Habib stated that 95% of its members were complying with its orders and that the action would go on until reasonable progress was made by the government to address their demands. Still on Wednesday, the Lagos State government announced a 3-day temporary closure of the entrance into CMD Road and the access road to Isherio Lowora on the Shagamu-bound carriageway. A statement released on the official Instagram page of Lagos State government stated that the roads will be closed to enable contractors lay the final wearing course, which would commence on Wednesday, August 9, 2023. Also, the access road to Isherio Lowora on the Shagamu-bound carriageway by the pedestrian bridge at Beja bus stop would be closed from Thursday, August 10, also for 3 days, with preparatory works commencing on Wednesday, August 9, 2023, to enable the reconstruction of the remaining half of the outer lane of the carriageway. Motorists were urged to cooperate with the traffic management personnel deployed to guide them through their desired destinations. On Thursday, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, ordered its standby force to restore constitutional order in Niger Republic. The president of ECOWAS, Omar Toure, made the declaration while reading the resolution of ECOWAS on the Niger coup at the ECOWAS's second extraordinary meeting in Abuja. It also called on the African Union, AU, partner countries and institutions to support the resolution taken by the sub-regional body. ECOWAS said All efforts made to dialogue with Niger Republic military junta have been definitely rejected by the coup leaders as they condemned the continuous detention of President Mohamed Bazoum and his family members. On his part, President Bola Tinubu, as the chairman of the Authority of Heads of State of the sub-regional bloc, expressed his commitment to the people of Niger while hoping that with the collective effort of the West African leaders, a peaceful resolution could be reached to restore peace and democratic stability in the country. Still on Thursday, the House of Representatives was considering an amendment on the Student Loan Act signed recently by President Bola Tinubu to make the loans easily accessible to students. Chairman of the House Ad Hoc Committee on Student Loan and Access to Higher Education, stated this at an interactive session with officials of the Federal Ministry of Education. He said for emphasis, student loans are an important aspect of modern education financing around the world, and that it creates access to education for students who would otherwise be unable to afford higher education or unable to study professional courses needed for scientific development, industrialization, technological advancement, and economic growth. Ugbo said for student loan schemes to be successful, they must be easy to access, easy to repay, and supported by flexible exit plans so as not to overburden the young citizens and stifle their development after graduation. However, efforts by the ad hoc committee to ascertain the implementation plans for the student loan scheme from officials of the Federal Ministry of Education were unsuccessful, as the Director, Legal Services, Enonebi Azobo, who led other ministry officials to the parley, was not forthcoming with information. Azobo, who represented the Permanent Secretary Andrew Adejo, was unable to provide answers to the panel's inquiry on the activities of the Presidential Committee on the Student Loan Scheme. And on Friday, the Central Bank of Nigeria released the consolidated financial statements for the last 7 years, making it the first since 2015 that the Apex Bank will be making its book available for public scrutiny. The consolidated financial statements, which were released by the CBN, are for 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022 financial periods. The CBN declared a profit after tax of 103.8 billion naira in 2022, up from 75.13 billion naira reported in 2021. Also, the CBN reviewed its old JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs a combined sum of $7.5 billion as of the financial year ended December 2022. The financial statement uploaded on the CBN website was an indication that the Apex Bank, under the leadership of the acting governor Folashodun Shonubi, is ready to open its book to public scrutiny. The suspended CBN governor, Godwin Emefiele, had come under attack for not releasing the financial statement to the public. This action of Emefiele is in gross violation of the CBN Act. And finally, still on Friday, the National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control, NAFDAC, warned Nigerians against drug hawking and ripening of fruits with calcium carbide. The Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Muji Adeyeye, disclosed this in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State during the South-South Zonal Media Sensitization Workshop on dangers of drug hawking and ripening fruits with calcium carbide. Adeyeye, who was represented by the Director of Chemical Evaluation and Research, Dr. Leonard Omokpariola, said fruit ripening with chemicals had caused diseases in many Nigerians. She said importers of fruits are checked to ensure the fruits ripened with chemicals are not brought into the country, and called on law agencies, consumers and health workers to step up the campaign against drug hawking and fruits ripening with chemicals to check terminal diseases among Nigerians. The experts warned Nigerians to desist from consuming such fruits to safeguard their health. And that is all on Tracking the Week.